Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Monday. Not maybe as lovely as last week, but we're delighted to have Katie Hughes of What's Katie Doing with us tonight. Katie's been a good friend to us since we started out. She's one of our official supporters of International Scottish Gin Day, and she's just generally very active in the gin world.
She's a big supporter of the various gin brands, is she?
Absolutely, yeah, which hopefully she'll be able to talk about some of her favourites and what she's drinking and all the rest of it just now. So on that note, we will bring Katie in now.
Hi Katie, how's it going?
Am I in? Hey!
Hello.
Good to see everyone, and cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
cheers. Good call. That looks like a Harris glass, but is it Harris inside?
No, it's not.
Well, we
So the Harris glasses are gorgeous. My sister got me these for my birthday, and she ordered them from Hong Kong via VPN to get delivered, which is amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, so I've got a Raven Negroni using burnt Mandarin peel to give a smoky taste, and I don't think I quite succeeded, but it's still a damn fine Negroni, so that's great.
So was that actually the burnt orange, or was it burnt grapefruit?
Easy peeler,
Mandarin,
basically,
okay.
Mandarin. Yeah.
So that was that a recipe suggested by the guys at Raven, was it?
Yes, they put it up on Twitter and then tagged me and Nick from Nick's Gin and Beer in it. Like, oh, we heard you like Negronis.
Brilliant. Oh, well, I'm sure they'll be pleased to get a mention. That's great. And is that their Valhalla, or is that...
It's Thoughts and Memories.
Thought of Memory, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good shout. Great. So how are you finding... You've got your bunting up there. I know it was your birthday a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Is that still left over from that? Or are you just to keep you in a good mood?
I think I'm just leaving it up for now. It's like part of the decoration now. But yeah, it was nice to have my friends organise this. And my friend actually made the bunting herself.
Oh, that's nice.
And then sent it over to me. And they organised like a whole Zoom call. They got food delivered to me. So we had an evening where we basically did a bit of a quiz as well. They organised a quiz of this place that Katie has been to. That was the theme of the quiz. All places I've been, but it was like random facts about them, and I only won because I was the birthday girl.
Yeah. And if it's places you've been, you're maybe at a slight advantage.
Yeah, but I don't know all the random facts.
Yeah.
My friend Alex, who ran the quiz, is tour guide, and she's very good at researching.
So other than your birthday, what have you been, obviously you've been in lockdown. How have the last few weeks been?
It's been okay, yeah. It was quite weird, isn't it, just to be not seeing anybody and stuff. And so the only people I've really seen is my sister, because she lives a walking distance away from a socially distant
of course.
limit, and my neighbours and a friend of mine who I had to like drop some groceries off for because she was self-isolating. So yeah, it's been quite a small circle of real life people, and then tons of people on Zoom.
Yeah, I know. I've never used social media so much, or these kind of virtual apps. I think it was you guys. We did the Zoom with Nick a few weeks ago. That was the first time I'd used it. So
that was good fun. Yeah,
good fun.
No, it's great to keep in touch with people, and actually I think it's probably something that's going to stay with a sort of new normal going forward, because hell, I can talk to all you guys up in Scotland without having to travel all the way up there. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's good. Definitely. I hope it carries on after all this is over. That'd be good to see that happen. So we touched on there at the start about you're a big fan of gin, and there are various things you do in the gin world to support various brands, but your blog covers more than just gin. So tell us a bit about your blog and everything that you're passionate about covering in it.
Sure. So yeah, my blog covers gin, travel and food. So I basically started blogging when I quit my job in a bank, and I went travelling. So I started off doing a travel blog. That was great. It was sort of 13 months of travelling around all sorts of places. And then I came back to London and started job hunting, basically. And while I was job hunting, I got a bar job with Sarah Jane in the Oliver Conquest in Aldgate. So unfortunately, she's no longer there. The pub still exists, but new owners, I think. And Yeah, so I worked in a gin bar basically.
Okay.
And
is that what piqued your interest at that point?
Yeah, it kind of helped with it. So I'd say I was interested before that, but the Oliver Conquest under Sarah Jane was just ridiculous. I mean, like, she had 400 gins.
Wow.
It was like amazing for a bar, and some of those were sort of super premium stuff that was just upstairs. It was just for the cocktail stuff. But just the sheer volume and scope was like mind blowing.
So how long ago was that then?
Huh?
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was 2014.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. But I had actually already known about the Oliver Conquest before then, because one of my friends started a book club, or we kind of started it together. And we went to the Oliver Conquest to do our original book club meetings, and we swiftly switched from talking about the books to talking about the gin. And so then it became a thing of like ticking off what she had when she only had like, I don't know, 150 gins or so. It was trying to tick off the menu. We never completed it because it kept on growing. So yeah, I'd say that was probably my education in gin, probably was at the Oliver Conquest, for sure. My interest in gin was before then as well.
Yeah.
Travel, just something I always have loved, and when I had the year off, obviously it was great to go do that. I didn't have a ton of money, I was backpacking, and so I didn't have the chance to go and experience all of the glamorous bars and all the different sort of places. It was much more sort of beer on the beach kind of travel.
Yeah.
And then the food thing, I love eating basically. When you're allowed out, I love to go to different restaurants and stuff, all sorts of cuisines. I love to do that when I'm traveling, as in try all the local cuisines as well as trying the local drink. And like, I really like the fact that you can really get to know someone's culture a bit closer when you look at the food. And how they cook and stuff. So that for me is the three sort of big passions I have. Yeah,
brilliant.
Wow.
It's one of those things we never understand. Whenever we've been on holiday, you're in a new country, you're experiencing new cultures, and you turn around and there's so many fantastic small independent restaurants, and you turn around and every tourist is going to McDonald's and wherever else, and you think you've got all this amazing food right here in front of you. Go and try it and experience it,
Yeah. I would definitely be trying everything. I'd say I'd try everything once. Apart from, there's a few weird things I'm a bit squeamish about. One of them's tripe.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. And I know recently we posted about, obviously, when we were announcing you as a returning sponsor, which we're very pleased about, for International Scottish Gin Day, which is now moved to the 24th of October. Just get that in there.
Yeah.
But we had obviously mentioned there, I forget offhand how many countries you have visited. It's very impressive.
65 at the moment.
Wow.
It was meant to be more by now, but obviously the travel plans have been stopped. So
I liked every time I saw the own to country number, and it seemed to be like every other week. So how do you find the time? Do you just plan, or does it happen ad hoc, or?
Most of the sort of long haul stuff is quite planned.
Yeah.
The short haul can be a little bit more flexible, I'd say.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends. It's a mix.
Yeah.
I do maximise my holiday time as much as possible. So all the bank holidays and stuff like that, to try and get as many holidays in as possible.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And obviously, since we've been in lockdown, being able to get out to bars and things like that is a no-no at the moment. So have you been able to take part in any sort of virtual gin cocktail experiences?
Yes, definitely. So the one that's sort of most memorable, I think, is Manly Spirits. So they launched their new Lily Pilly gin, which is a pink gin, and that was actually with the sort of Skype or Zoom or whatever from the distillery in Manly Beach, Sydney.
Cool.
So it was like 6:30 in the morning for poor David. So the distiller was there, and actually I think he ended up doing the gin tasting about 7 a.m. his time, so neat gin at 7 a.m.
Breakfast.
But yeah, that was pretty awesome. It was really cool to be able to do that, because it was meant to be a physical launch in a department store, and then that got obviously canned because we couldn't do it for the social distancing reasons. And so it was just nice to be able to do that from afar, have the bottle, sample alongside, make some cocktails, get input from experts. So we had I can't remember the guy's name, but it was one of the bartenders from Coupet, which is a great bar in East London, as well as people from the brands, the distiller, etc. Seeing the distillery actually in person, I think it was pretty awesome. I think it was a great replacement for a real sort of real life, in person thing.
And have you noticed a significant decrease in the number of launches that there would be of gins right now? Or, what's your take on, is it a good time or is it not? Because I noticed, like you just said there, that it's launched. I noticed Four Pillars still did a new gin launch, but the word is most people are holding off. So what?
Yeah, but I think theirs was more local.
Was it?
Rather than international, yeah. So that was their one of their collaborations with the Japanese brand, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it may have just been those two countries. I certainly haven't been able to get my hands on a bottle over here. So yeah. There's a few things I think that were already in the pipeline before lockdown happened. I don't know if people are going to be looking at doing more now that we've been in lockdown for 5 weeks. Some of the smaller brands, I guess, may have changed what they're doing. So maybe they're less focused on bringing out a new gin and promoting it, and more focused on, say, making hand sanitizer or doing other things that help their local community, which I totally get. I think that's admirable. So I don't know if I've seen necessarily anything recently. Yeah.
Sandra's saying hi. Hey guys.
Oh, hi Sandra.
So yeah, and on that note, I know Sandra's also a member of Negroni Club. So tell us a bit about that. You've got a Negroni there tonight. You talked about the Raven Negroni. So yeah, what does Negroni Club involve?
So basically, you've got to like the bitter stuff. It's not a precursor, but you've got to be willing to try it. Anyway, before lockdown happened, we would meet in person every second month. Anthony Brimacombe, who's Brim and Tonic online, is the sort of chief instigator, I would say, probably. Sarah Jane from the OC as well. She loves her Negronis, and she's been very instrumental in finding us places that we can go and taste. So different. It used to be last year that we would go to a different bar each time. Maybe it would be sponsored by a particular gin or vermouth brand. And we would try a selection of Negronis. So maybe there'll be 3 Negronis you could try in the evening. So we did one night. We've done actually a couple nights where we've had hidden curiosities. So Jenny Maguro is really keen on Negronis, and her Aranami gin is like really nice. It's sort of beautiful navy strength, works so well. And then this year it changed slightly. So we were going to use the Hyde Bar in Bermondsey. So we're London based as our sort of base, and have different brands showcased every other month. Sorry, that would be a bit too keen. And do that. So we did have one in February before this all kicked off. And then for April, we had to go online. So it was a Zoom meeting. And the theme was Desert Island Negroni. And everyone had to bring their own Negroni along. And okay, so not all of us had the ingredients at home. So we talk about your Desert Island Negroni whilst maybe drinking a different version. But it was quite interesting to see what people liked. And there was quite a lot of overlap with certain things. So one thing that came out was not a complete loyalty to Campari, shall we say?
Oh, interesting. Controversial.
So, other bitters are available.
Okay. Oh,
and we really like the Victory bitters. They're made in Tottenham in London.
What's that? Sorry, say that again.
Victory bitters.
Victory, okay.
So it's Victory London is the company name, and their bitters are really nice. They're much lower sugar than Campari, but still quite interesting and complex from a flavour perspective.
Yeah.
So that works really well if you want to make a London Negroni. Other ones that were mentioned, so Jenny, a lot of navy strength gin. We think navy strength works really well, and Negroni really stands up to the flavours.
Yeah.
But also there was a white Negroni, there was a green Negroni with green chartreuse in it, and I was just a bit like, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that's rogue, a bit rogue.
A bit rogue, yeah. But yeah, so everyone just shares their own sort of view on that. That was quite nice. It was quite a big group of people, but we managed to sort of get around everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good.
Well, that's good. I think, yeah, that's one of those things I would love to be part of, like a physical, well, virtual as well, but, to be able to go to something like that every other month. But we live in the middle of nowhere, so I don't know if there'd be many participants in that, but I guess that's one of the great things about being in London and being close to so many great bars. And
definitely.
Yeah, fab.
Yeah. And what do you look for yourself in a gin, Katie? Do you look for, do you look at the packaging? Do you look at the flavour profile, or is it just a combination of all?
Do you read reviews? You know, since you know.
I always like to try it, I would say, before I buy. So I wouldn't necessarily buy an unknown gin unless I'd tried it. Now, when I say unknown, I mean something that's newly launched that other people haven't tried. If some people that I know have already tried it and written a review, then yes, I'll read it and I would make that decision maybe. But generally, I like to try stuff before I buy. So that's my first point. What do I like? Gosh, okay. So I have a few selection of different gins next to me, and they're also varied. So I have to say, you mentioned packaging. Isle of Harris has got to be the most stunning packaging, but also a really lovely gin. But fairly sort of, I'll say, contemporary in style, subtle. It's not in your face. You know, it's just a really nice gin, and I wouldn't probably have that with tonic. I would just do martini. So yeah, just really appreciate the gin. Other gins, I've got to mention Macintosh, the Gin Pals. So I've got their Old Tom. I tried that when I was in Glasgow for the Gin to My Tonic show, and I really liked it. So I was very surprised because it's got, what's it, pineapple and grapefruit in it, and I was a bit like, are you having a laugh? But actually it's really lovely, and I do like Macintosh, and Jim and Steph, etc., and Deb have all like done loads of work to like really strengthen relationships with all the bloggers. So I think I must have met them the previous year at the Glasgow Gin to My Tonic, and they just sort of ran into me at the hotel reception and started nattering. So that was lovely. Other ones, so I heard good stuff about this one. This is one I bought without trying. So this is Darnley's Smoke and Zest. So again, going for the Negroni, smoky, orange, citrus flavours that I love. In this decanter, I have the Raven Thought and Memory.
And why is that? What happened to the bottle?
I brought it up to the Scottish Gin Awards as a Negroni.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Never took it back. It just got cleared from the table when we finished it.
That's right. Oh, yeah. It's a bit hazy, but yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Yeah, the hangover proved it. And then I have to mention, tried all the Crossbill range at the Glasgow Gin to My Tonic, and I bought the Sumac, which again is going to be is good in the Negroni. I haven't tried much yet, as you can tell. I have a very broad palette in that I do like aged gins. I didn't immediately like them. It's only happened in the last couple of years. I do like aged gins. I don't mind flavoured, but I think they need to be in context. Like, it's not what I have with the gin and tonic, but then also I don't drink a lot of gin and tonic. I do drink a lot more cocktails. And so therefore I also tend to prefer juniper heavy or citrus forward gins. I don't mind a herbaceous one as well. So something like St. George Terroir is brilliant. I don't know if you've tried that one.
No.
They're based out in California. Beautiful gin. Question mark about whether it's actually got enough juniper coming forward to be gin, but it's just really lovely, herbaceous, uses loads of different herbs like sage and things, as well as the local trees. So that's what gives it sort of piney notes. Really good stuff. Really interesting. Other gins like that, sort of savoury side, things like Gin Mare. That's really beautiful as well. And then I don't mind a gin liqueur. So I have to say that probably the first one I've ever tried was Edinburgh.
That's an old school bottle as well.
Yeah, that's what I say. This one's probably needs drinking then. But yeah, it was probably their raspberry gin was the first one I tried. So that was sort of sold as have it with, Prosecco at Christmas. But I really love, both me and my flatmate love the rhubarb and ginger. That's really nice. And you can just drink that neat. It's really good. And then for something a little bit more sophisticated, I love Macar and their range. So this is the cherry gin, but I also love their barrel aged stuff as well.
Absolutely, the mulberry is lovely, and
really interesting. And seeing the differences between the different wood as well. That's really awesome.
And there's no doubting their juniper, forward. And I like that about.
And from what I remember, they had the oak casks made and the mulberry casks made from scratch for aging their gin, which is quite an unusual process to follow, I guess. Probably quite an expensive process as well to follow. But
they do, it does make a beautiful product, and you're paying more for it, because I think they're like smaller bottles. I think they're 500. So they're smaller size bottles, but but I think they're worth it. But it's something where you need to be able to taste the gin. You don't want to drown it in tonic or ginger ale. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And that likes of that cherry gin, true to what they do, and you see this a lot more, to be fair, with the flavoured gins now, is that's fresh, that's infused with fresh cherries. There's no sugar, there's no kind of artificial flavourings. That's just, I know that's made with fresh cherries. But so you touched on cocktails there. You tend to drink your gins more with cocktails. How do you decide, what cocktails do you like? What do you make at home? And how do you decide what gin to go with them?
It depends. So obviously I like a Negroni, so I've tried a lot of different Negronis. I would say that's probably one of my key tests for a gin, is does it make a good Negroni? Now, I have to just put a little aside on that and say not everything's going to suit a Negroni. Yeah. So, or at least not a traditional one with Campari, shall we say, or that kind of red bitter. So sometimes I do like a white Negroni instead, using a balance of lighter kind of bitters. And sometimes it's just got to be a straight up martini or something like that. That's when the gin's quite a light gin. So I made one recently with 58 gin last summer, and it was incredibly light on the tongue because I think we put a ton of citrus in, and it's just like those are the first botanicals that come off the still. And so while we got a lot of citrus, it was also very light and didn't have a huge amount of depth to it. And so this is why I can never be a distiller. It wasn't quite working as a whole product. But it did make a banging martini. So just lovely and really disturbingly easy to drink, I'd say.
Okay, one of those.
But like you can just play with things. So for example, I did my first basil smashed with Warner's Farmed and Foraged, which is great. Again, it's another herbaceous gin made with stuff that's growing within, I think, a bee's flight of the farm. And so that was really interesting, and like the herb, and that just worked really well with it. I've been trying a few other bits and pieces. So Nick from Nick's Gin and Beer has also been suggesting various things. So we've done a few, we've done like Martinez, for example, where Dr. Adams' House Botanicals was basically saying they have the best one, but I have yet to taste that. So we'll see when they can show me their actual Martinez, which apparently is in the works, as in a pre-bottled one. Then I'll be like, okay, then I can give them the crown or not. What else? A bee's knees, we were talking about that being really good with gins with lavender in them. So I want to try that. But yeah, I've been more, I think lockdown helps, having some extra time. But more into playing around with the cocktails and taking maybe sort of a classic recipe and doing a bit of a twist on it.
Because to be fair, you would probably be, I'm not saying you're drinking more cocktails, and when I say you, I mean the royal you, like us in general, but you maybe where you would maybe be at bars or experiencing launches or events and drinking cocktails, you're more, you're having to make them at home, aren't you? So I suppose we're learning a few new skills, vital skills.
I'd say they're pretty vital.
And obviously you publish quite a lot of original content about various topics and things like that, and obviously a big part of brands, and particularly gin brands, working with communicators and bloggers and other people in the gin world. You're always really good. You always mention whether something's been gifted, whether it's part of a promotion, or whether you're working in tandem with a brand. What's kind of your thoughts on that aspect of sort of being a gin communicator?
I think it's super important to be transparent with your audience, basically. People should know if I'm being paid to write or photograph something. And they should also know maybe I've not been paid for it, but I have been given it for free. Versus if it's something I've bought myself, then I wouldn't normally explicitly say I bought this. But I obviously do buy a lot of gin. And I enjoy a lot of gin. So I just want to be, like I said, transparent with it. I think, there's two aspects of that. So there's a personally being transparent, and there's a legally actually having to declare it. And whilst some of the ASA guidelines are a little bit, I don't know what to say, wordy, shall we say. in that you have to sort of tag stuff as advertisement promotion or something. I would rather say gifted. It means that the person knows that I've been given the thing for free.
Yeah, yeah.
And therefore they can make their own judgment based on maybe following me, knowing my tastes, whether I'm saying something that's sugar coated or not. So I think that's the sort of clearest way of doing it. As I say, there's very little that's being actually sponsored at the moment, as in people aren't paying. So sponsored means they're paying me to write something, and that's not really happening at the moment. But yeah, some of the free gifting stuff is still happening when people want to get their brand out there. They want people to see it and know about it, and I think it's really key to tell people, I've not gone out and bought this, I've been given it by the brand.
I think it's a really good approach to have.
Absolutely, honesty is key. And so where do you stand on, I don't want to name any names or name and shame anyone, but have you ever been gifted something or asked to collaborate with someone and then not felt like it's it's been something you want to talk about?
Probably not in the gin space. I get more sort of random PR approaches. This is bad now if any PRs are watching, but anyway, random PR approaches where they're like, we really love your website and we'd love you to promote blah. That's more sort of on the travel side, I would say. That's my experience anyway. Or like random products where I'm like, I would love a hammock, but I can't put it anywhere. And I can't hire a handyman to come drill a hole in my balcony to put it up there, so it's not going to happen. And so, but it sounds like in the gin scene, I guess, thinking about what you've said there as well, I guess that you are quite thoughtful about who you collaborate with anyway. So I suppose you're doing a bit of research and homework before you. Is that fair? Am I talking out of turn? Yeah, no, that is fair. I would say I always do look to see whether something's a good fit for my brand. I can't think of an example, and I wouldn't want to name names if I could, but I don't know, anything that wasn't particularly something I would drink, I probably wouldn't
just
work
even
with.
Entertain it sort of thing.
We've had people contact us saying, would love to review your gin, and we've had to say we don't actually make gin.
That's a bit bad if I haven't even read the website.
Well, how much research have you actually done before sort of getting in touch with someone,
That's a lot of kind of the kind of junk mail, I would say that is, but you get a lot of that. So I think you're actually a step ahead of us, because we were going to say what are some of your favourite Scottish gins, but you have shown us
I've loads.
Exactly. You've mentioned quite a few there, and actually physically shown us the bottle to prove it.
But you've obviously been you come up to Scotland a fair bit, and obviously when you've been up here, what sort of gin experiences have you went and taken part in?
I have to admit they've been mainly focused around Edinburgh, because I generally come up for the festival. So when I do, so my friends go off and see theatre and like dance and musicals, and I'm like, well, what can I fit in that's gin related? So I did the Pickering's tour last summer. I've previously done the Edinburgh Gin Tour as well. I also went to Holyrood Distillery, and they literally only opened a week before I went.
Right, I remember that.
So that was great. Like their setup is really cool, and it was just me and one other guy from Denmark on the tour, and he was a whiskey guy, and he's like, I'm making the whiskey yet. Oh no, I can only do gin. And he actually said it was really fun being on the tour with me because I was so enthusiastic.
I remember.
Like, oh, look at this! Look at that! Oh, what's that?
I remember you asked a question, and that whoever the tour guide, I guess that they didn't have the answer to, because you took part in our discovering Scottish gin. What was that question?
It was
again?
about the still, was it not?
No, it was about it was the reflux chamber.
That's right, and I think they were quite impressed that you were showing that level of interest.
And I think probably memory as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you won yourself a bottle.
Actually, that's on the shelf as well. Yeah, it's on a different area. It's in the unopened gin shelf, whereas the ones I've shown you, all the open ones.
Absolutely. Wait to taste that. No, that's good. Fantastic. So,
but there's a little bit of the gin geek coming out there, but I have to admit that I obviously never really made gin, so I don't actually know the detail. But
no, but you know enough to
But I guess it's a great thing about gin that even like us, we started off as long time gin drinkers, and it's it's you almost start wanting to push yourself to learn about certain aspects of the gin making process and learn more about the industry. And I think it's something that if you're passionate about, it doesn't actually feel like a chore to sort of
No, it's always
read
good.
a blog,
Yeah.
buy a book about gin, whatever it is. I think that's part of the thing that I've really enjoyed about it is the learning process almost as well as the drinking process.
You've got to make sure you balance them out so you don't lose too many brain cells. Yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you've mentioned a few, you shouted out to a couple of people there. We talked about Nick and Sandra. And so what other gin bloggers and communicators would you recommend people should be following?
I'd definitely say, so Rory, who is the Gin Lord, so he's also making his own gin. That project's kind of on hold because he's got a baby due next week. But yeah, he's got a still in a shed in the bottom of his garden. So that's good fun. I'd say Matt from the Gin Shelf. He writes very interesting story-like posts. So he's quite a good one to follow if you like to read an interesting blog, not just tasting notes.
Yeah.
Not there's nothing wrong with tasting notes, but yeah, he adds a little bit of a story to it.
Yeah.
I'd say Ewan, who is from the Gin Shelf. So very similar name, very different.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy, so I've met him a couple of times up in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Who else? So obviously Nick Gin and Beer. Sandra is the real Juniper Chick on Instagram, so she's not a blogger. And also her partner Julian is like a cocktail maestro, I would say. So if I have a question on a cocktail, I normally message those two. If I want to know this particular gin, would it work in this cocktail, or what vermouth would you use with it, or something like that. And normally Julian would come back with maybe a concoction that involves 4 different vermouths.
Wow.
So he's very much into balancing flavour. So a little bit different kind of analytical brain, maybe.
Yeah.
I would say definitely follow Gin Foundry. Mm-hmm. So Olivia writes loads of think pieces on the gin industry, and I think that's definitely worth following him. They do the Gin Annual every year as well, which has a look at trends in the gin industry, not just in the UK, but also around the world. And so I find that's really interesting.
Well, which you've been to a number of times, I think.
Ginapalooza.
Sorry?
Ginapalooza.
Yeah, unfortunately now postponed until September.
Yeah, okay.
September 19th now.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's their big gala event they do normally in June every year.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. But there's nothing academic or serious about that. So this is seeing normally loads of gin pals. So there's always tons of people that I know there. And then trying all the new gins. They always have sort of like a newcomers corner where they showcase gins from around the world. And they normally have like a bursary for like a UK one and an international gin. But they support them to actually come in to the show and introduce their gin to the UK market effectively. Cool. So that's always good fun as well. Yeah. So fingers crossed it goes ahead this year.
Absolutely. I know there's so many fantastic events having to be postponed, but I guess it's only right and fair to let everyone, get on their feet again. And but at the moment, it's kind of like how long's a piece of string, isn't it? I mean,
totally.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I almost feel like at the moment it's worth just keep avoiding the news. Just like it's every day it changes, but no, I guess we've made good time. We've asked all the questions that we wanted to ask.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. That's been 34 minutes. So that's flown past.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. I don't think we've got through everything, but yeah.
Yeah, we've done a good job, I think. Yeah. Is there anything else that you feel you would like to say or we haven't covered, or?
I don't know if this is new news, but we've started a Martini Club on Facebook as well.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Okay, so how does that work? Is that just going to be virtual?
I think so, to start off with anyway, because everyone's stuck in lockdown. Watch this space. So I guess, because we've already had something in April, we're probably going to look at doing something in May for that.
Okay.
But yeah, if you have a Google on Martini Club, I think it's Martini Club UK, I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Then you'll find it on Facebook.
Well, I'm determined to join the Negroni Club again, the next virtual one. When is that pending for?
So, because it's meant to be every other month, we're still debating that, whether it's going to be June or whether we're going to do something before then.
Yeah. Because of course it's easier. There's no logistics. There's no.
Well, we were talking about trying to get some brands involved, but then the logistics of actually getting everybody the same drinks.
Yeah. Okay. Or, yeah. It takes a bit of
products. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a bit trickier.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and keep up the good work. I know that it's a bit of a slog right now, and but yeah, we just you've been really supportive of us, and
thanks for all your support,
just genuinely,
Katie, and just being a friend. I guess a friend to us,
nice person.
Yeah, I could always drink with you guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, I think we discovered the when we went to the Gin to my Tonic last year. Was it a whole year ago? Wow. Yeah. Where did we go for brunch again? You went back this year, but we weren't.
Oh, Single End.
Yeah. So good.
Really good.
That was good, wasn't it? And we had a good natter.
Yeah. We do have one final question here. I may as well just throw in from Julian asking, what drinks are you drinking now? So if you want to
us?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like right now?
Yeah.
I'm drinking a wee Negroni, and it's actually from a gin that I made at the Aberdeen Distillery. They have it's a brand new gin school. They don't have their own signature gin yet. They literally opened it as an experience first. And what they're doing is they're trialling a few gins and asking the people of Aberdeen, if you like, what their signature gin
flavour profile.
So basically, when we went along, there were a few to try, and they've kind of gone with the experience first. But anyway, I named it, I think it was Railway Gin. So I made this gin myself, and it actually is drinkable.
And I'm just having the same thing, but in a gin and tonic. And I think you used tea and coffee in your distillation.
Did I? Well, probably. I was sort of going
interesting.
Yeah. But he's polished.
I've made my way through this.
Yeah. And yourself, I guess Julian maybe missed what you were drinking at the start there, but tell us again.
So that's a smoky Raven Negroni, basically. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's a smoky bit of Mandarin pill in there, mainly because I didn't burn it properly. Yeah. So I put it in to try and give it a little bit more smoke to the flavour. But yeah, you're going to burn the peel and then douse the flame with Campari. Mine wasn't a flame. Douse. Okay, so it didn't quite work, but the Raven Thought and Memory makes a lovely Negroni, and so does the Valhalla as well, actually.
Yeah. Did you see their frozen Negroni the other day?
Well, yeah, so they tagged me in Nick in that as well, so that's in the project later.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to those posts. Great.
But thanks again for everything, Katie. You stay safe.
Yeah.
And
you too.
We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, we'll catch up soon. Thanks very much for joining us.
Bye.
Thanks again. Cheers.
Okay, everyone. Yeah, thanks to Katie. That was, I almost forgot you were all there. That was just like having a informal chat with a friend there. But no, Katie has been really supportive, and I've never heard anyone say a bad word against her. She's just...
And if they do, they'll get a smack.
No, she's just she's just lovely, and she knows her stuff.
And she's really genuine as well, and we've met her a couple of times for drinks and other things, so... I think you kind of get a feel for people, and it's great to know that there's other people out in the gin community that are talking about gin, promoting gin, talking about great brands because they're passionate about it and they genuinely care. It's not always just about a business or about popularity. They do it because they love it,
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things we love about getting to know other people, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
no, hats off to Katie.
We've got Paul Jackson joining us on Wednesday from the Gin Guide at 8 o'clock right here on our Facebook channel. So hopefully you'll be able to join us, and we'll be learning a bit more about the Gin Guide, about Paul's own gin journey, and a bit more. So yeah,
we'll see you then.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone. Everybody. Cheers. Take care. Stay safe.